All right. Let's see if we got this going. Let me know if anyone even joins. Let me know if anything even shows up. What's this do? Okay, those are filters. So, I don't know if anyone's in this yet. I don't know how this works yet. This is mainly just a test. If you guys are here, well, kudos. You get to hang out. You get to ask some questions or whatever. But, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you. No, just bear in mind, Ricky, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to this live thing. SWM, nice to see ya. Okay, so I guess it just auto comes up. What does this do? Whoa, okay, yeah, we're not gonna play with that. All right, I think normal's just fine for now. How do I get that going? Just bear in mind, hold on, give me a second. I'll get to the point on why we're even doing this. I'm just trying to figure out how this live works for a quick couple seconds there. Give me a grace period of about a minute and a half. There's no diving in. How's it going, Kevin? How's it going? Here we go. All right, I think I figured it out enough that we can actually start having a conversation here. All right, let me just see what you guys are doing. How do I see the chat? Live chat. Ah, there we go. Okay, now I can actually see the chat. All right, so I'm good partner. How many square trucks at school today? There wasn't that many, tell you the honest truth. Here we had a gigantic snowstorm early on. We ended up getting 30 centimeters of snow. That was awesome. And then about 75-kilometer-an-hour winds. I'm not sure what that works out into miles per hour, but they shut down everything. Yeah, it was a fun time at the end of the day. Everything, it's all mild now. It's actually in the positives now, so it's melting all down. But you got about a foot of slush everywhere you walk, so you know how things go. Shoot, I wish I had another thing like here so I could see the chat. I'm just trying it out on the phone, so bear in mind. I think next time we'll use a laptop or something. Plenty of snow for 360s and burnouts. Oh yeah, for sure. Back in when I first built that blue diesel truck, the 6.9, I had a welded rear end inside the back of that when it was on the 36 by 9 inch military tires. That thing, low speed, you could do donuts and everything, even on wet pave. It was awesome. But the wheel hop was atrocious, though. The whole thing would jump around like this. Whew. Yeah, we really need track bars on it, but it was fun. It would always chirp the tires. I could climb up little mountains and stuff, or little snow mounds and stuff down at the Coliseum. It was always good after school and stuff. I don't think there's any other questions yet. I'm sorry if I missed a question. I don't know how to go up on this to read more. No, I don't know how to see anything. So I think if your chat goes too far up, I can't read it. So I know someone asked a question, but I can't see it anymore. Maybe on a laptop, we'll be able to figure it out. But anyway, what I wanted to get to, I have a couple bullet points over there. It's on a chalkboard. There's a couple things I just kind of wanted to talk about the YouTube channel as we grow, because we're getting really close to 10,000 subs, and that's fantastic. I remember it was pretty much right before Christmas time. We were just scraping by the 1,000 subscriber mark, and then we just blew up. I have a couple ideas on why that happened, and I can get into that in a couple seconds, or in a couple minutes, sorry. But going forward, what I think we're going to start doing at 10,000 subs. I think we're going to change up the video format per se, because by my estimate, we seem to be, thanks, I appreciate it, Ricky. I appreciate it, because it's everyone like you that watches the videos that made this whole thing happen. And by no means we're not making any money off of this. I won't keep that away from you guys. I think it's only like $30 a month that YouTube pays me. It's not a lot. I don't even know if I'm allowed to tell you guys that, but you guys know it now. It's basically peanuts. So I work a full-time job with overtime anyway, so this is just mainly for fun. And then, as some of you guys know, I'm in school right now. That's why we had that whole can this truck survive for 47 days, traveling 150 clicks, because that's the round trip. Anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's finish one topic first. At 10,000 subs, we're going to be changing the video format to a little bit. And by my estimation, we should actually get to that point by the time the bodywork's done on the International. I just wrapped up one video today. I just have to edit it. It's going to come out tomorrow. If you guys have been paying attention, it's usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday split that I do for the big videos. Short videos are just kind of all over the place. I might upload a whole bunch one day and then none the next, just kind of how it goes. But usually that's the split that we go by, and it tends to range between a 10 and 20 minute video. On the big fabrication stuff, it tends to take a lot of time. But anyway, try to stay on topic. When we get to 10,000, the International should be done its body work roughly. I think what we're going to do then is, if you guys want, we're going to try maybe 2 videos per week instead of the 3, because I never really committed to the 3, but I've been trying to do that for the last couple months. But the 2 videos, I'll be able to get more into that one video. You know what I mean? If I'm saying that right. So that would be, instead of 3 20-minute videos, we might have a 30-minute video. And it should help, I think, on the channel discoverability per se. I don't know. It's all a test. I'm so new at this that we're just kind of screwing around and playing around and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. If you were here early on, there was a couple examples at the very beginning when we started the channel that I no longer really do. And that would be like tool reviews. I did a couple tool reviews, one on my box at work. I think one was on a DeWalt palm sander, that kind of stuff. A couple other things. Either way, never really caught on, so like that type of video scrapped, right? So I watch the analytics when I make the videos to a certain degree. Like obviously the International series isn't going anywhere until that truck's done. That's just how that works. And then the F-150, we're still working on that, but we're not going to touch that for a while until the International gets a little bit further ahead. But as for like new series and stuff moving forward, I'm doing that based off of what you guys like to watch. So usually I put out 2 or 3 videos that might be, if you notice, there's like an odd one out type video. It's me trying something new. If it's not very well received, likelihood of me doing that again might not be very high. So like, for example, I really want to get into the truck revivals, car revivals, that kind of stuff. Growing up, for example, let me say my age. I'm 24. I'm about to be 25. What came up? Try it. Personally, I don't mind long videos. How do I get this chat to work? Live chat. Yeah, that works. That's the best I can do for the chat. They disappear in like 10 seconds, so I'll just put it up so I can kind of see it maybe. I think it will be better. I think next time we do this, it's going to be on a laptop. Anyway. So, yeah, like I said, Ricky, the best, we're just going to try it, see how it works out. You're a spring chicken. Yeah, fun fact, I'm the youngest at my shop. I'm going to school right now for my Block 3 heavy diesel. And I am geez, it would be I'm about 25 years younger than everyone else at the shop completely. The girls and the guys, all that stuff. They're all older fellas. Get around fine. But geez, I'm way off topic now. But I gotta remember why I brought up my age. Hold on. Oh, that's funny. You know what? We're going to have to change topics unless one of you guys can remind me. I got the memory of Nemo. No, Dory. Dory from Finding Nemo. Ah, yes, I was talking about revivals. Okay. Yes, the reason I brought up my age is because there was a couple guys that commented before, likely not anyone that's watching this, because the guys that are watching the long format videos are not the same people usually that watch the short videos. This is kind of how YouTube works, I guess. Anyway, I digress. I want to get into more of the revival type videos. So that would be find an old vehicle that hasn't ran in X amount of years and go there, try to start it, drive it home, all that kind of stuff. I like doing that. I like the challenge of setting 3 or 4 days off on the back burner. You're a smart spring chicken. I'm a forgetful spring chicken. But I would like down the road for us to do more of those. Junkyard Digs. I know everybody. I wish this chat would stay up. I know everybody, you do that, get a lot of likes. Okay, yeah. So what I'm getting into is there was a couple guys that commented that we were copying Vice Grip Garage, Junkyard Digs, those kind of bigger channels. I even had a guy that said I copied Dudes with Frenches for the short videos, mind you. So it's kind of I just want to know what your guys' feedback is. Do you want to see more of that content? Because the revivals in question, I've done a couple on this channel. We had my grandfather's truck, and I'll get into that specific video in a second. That's how I do it too. That's how I viewed it too when I got that feedback, is the revivals aren't copying, it's a genre. But a lot of, you have very faithful subscribers and very faithful watchers to these bigger channels, and they'll defend them till the day they die, and that's fine. It's great to have great allies like that. But there's been a couple people saying that we copied on something, so I'm treading lightly just because we're a much smaller channel. I don't want to ruffle up too many feathers. Hey, how's it going? Don't sink that ATV tonight, okay? I'm not coming to pull you out. Really like how you channel explain everything. It's great. Yeah, it's coming along. Like, I'm trying to show you guys everything I do on the build series, but I'm going to try to finish the one topic I have on the revivals. Promise. It's all slush tonight, so if you sink that thing down to the boards and then it freezes, you're done. It's not going to happen. Big ATV guy. But anyway, the revivals in question, the revivals that we have on the channel right now, we have the Galaxy 500 video. That was a seized engine. It was my grandfather's. He passed away. We picked it up. It was parked for like 40 years. It was a good video. If you guys haven't watched it, it's about 45 minutes long on the channel. Anyway, we also did one on the little Mazda, but we already had that, and it was, if you watched the last video, I explained we were going to use it for the international. Never ended up doing it. So we got that guy running. He's all fine. He's kind of up in cyberspace, but he's sitting there, and I'm going to get into that in a second. Then we did a revival on the 1950s F47. That one's been in the family for a while, so it's not going anywhere. There's no capital on that. But then we have my grandfather's old truck. Again, he passed away. They were selling the property. So I was kind of humming and hawing about it, and I wanted to save the truck. So we put the video together, and it came out really nice. It's about an hour and a half-ish, if I can remember correctly. We went there, the truck didn't run, it was parked for like 10 plus years. It has an inspection sticker and a registration, but my grandfather wasn't exactly the the most lawful, so those didn't belong to that truck, but that's okay. That's all right. Anyway, we got it running. We drove it back. I've seen a couple Galaxy revivals that are pretty easy to do. We'll watch the Maxi. Yeah, the Galaxy was completely seized when we got it, but the reason I'm bringing up the revivals is that one Galaxy, or sorry, the one video with my grandfather's truck, right? It was 2.5 hours away, roughly, driving on the interstate. Then we were there for 3 days to get it running because we did a lot of actual mechanical labor. We saved a lot of money on parts because my grandfather used to have a garage and an older shop and an older junkyard. So we just basically could harvest parts off the junk cars there when we did that specific revival. And it was great for training wheels. But for example, to get that truck, we got that revival going. Then we drove it back. I think we made one follow-up video on it and that's it. But that one video costed us, without the purchase of the truck, $680 CAD. So for all you fellas down in the United States, CAD is basically the same as your Monopoly money. It's really bad. But here, it's still, I think it's like $3 or $2.50 for a loaf of bread. So like CAD doesn't go very far. So 680 bucks for that one video, where just for example, the glass on the International is going to cost about $1,500 to get here. So in order to finish projects, obviously that takes capital, and I'm by no means complaining. I'm just saying how things are working around in my head. I want to get into more revivals, but I need to know if that's something you guys really want to see, because I was expecting, again, it might just be because of thumbnails. It's $510 US. Yeah, Canadian doesn't go very far at all. Shoot, chat. Sitting here right now with another big fan of your channel. 98 years old. Hey, that's awesome. What's her name? What's her name, Eunice? I'll say hello to her if I know her name. But either way, I would love to do more revivals, but economically and because at the end of the day, this channel has to be self-sufficient to a self kind of degree. Obviously on 40 some bucks a month that we're making right now, I'm not expecting it to do that, but we're not going to sink $680 into those type of videos once a month, that type of deal. If you know what I'm trying to get at, is economically it doesn't make sense, right? So I just want to know if that's something you guys really want to see, because my grandfather's truck video, it's been up since November. And again, it's at no fault of anyone. I just want to know if you guys want to see more fabrication stuff as we go, because we have tons of stuff we can do in the shop. And this summer, there's autocross events, drag strip, road trips, all that stuff. Or we can dive a little bit more into revive and drive type videos and get those going. But the capital, I need to know if that's something you guys really want to watch, because the capital, I have to put that towards it. And my grandfather's video, I'm not going to see that likely for 4 or 5 years back just on that one video. There's I know there's a truck over there that won't start. I could do that, yeah. I know there's one. But, no, so like moving forward, we have a couple revivals planned, again, because there's a couple other cars on my grandfather's junkyard that have not ran in years. 60s, none really, 2 from the 50s, that kind of stuff. I'd definitely be interested in more. I'm imagining you're saying more to the revivals. I would love to do them. But we're going to see. We're going to see. Expect 1 or 2 this summer, but there might not be 1,000 of them. Come on, chat. I'll definitely be interested. Hey, tell me where that's at. If it spins over. I'm not going to give away my honey hole just yet. There's a couple vehicles there that I can do revivals on that are going to be pretty low budget, somewhere around that $500 per video. But the problem is that's per video. I can get 2 sheets of 16 gauge and do sheet metal work all day long for a couple months with 2 sheets of 16 gauge for roughly the same price. So spending that type of capital on one video, it's quite a lot at the end of the day. So if it proves that it's something you guys like, I'm going to do these videos. I have 2 or 3 revivals that are coming down the pipeline this summer, guaranteed. But if they don't do very hot, we might talk about it again. It's just kind of how things go. Anyway, so that was a long tangent. But I always want your guys' opinions on how I structure things. Again, the build series, it's not going anywhere. The F-150 build series, it's not going anywhere, because down the line, like the plans for the vehicles that I have right now in the roster, right? I have the Mazda. I have, at least, we're going to talk about this location. We're not talking about any other location. No revival cars that are coming in yet. Just the location that we're at right now. Not the other one with the F-47 and the Trans Am and the Galaxy 500. We're not going to talk about those ones right now. So the vehicles on this premises that we got, we have my grandfather's truck, the Mazda, my blue 6.9 diesel, my F-150, the square body Chevrolet, the International, and the RX-7. So a little bit of a roadmap for the channel going forward is International Series. We're trying to get that done, minus glass, kind of roughly. We're trying to get that done before April, because that's around the same time that the first autocross meet is, and I kind of want to take that truck to that meet and try to beat that little RX-7. So that's what we're going to be focusing a lot of our time on. So the build videos are likely going to go, we're likely going to start really diving into them. And that's why I'm kind of thinking about doing 2 videos instead of 3. They'll be longer videos, but I won't have to spend as much time editing and, well, same time filming, but editing mostly, because when I do editing, it usually takes about 2.5, 3 hours out from the shop from what we do right now. Do you know Peg? He's commented on a few of our videos, and it's funny you bring that up, because we brought when people said I was copying them. People said I was copying them, starting my old blue truck with ether. You know, the glow plug assist, basically the glow plugs in a can. But because he uses ether all the time, right? That's his thing. He loves IDIs, all that stuff. Growing up, the reason I brought up my age is because when I grew up in middle school, so I don't know, that puts me at 12 years old or whatever, I was watching Peg's videos back then. So in a way, Vice Grip Garage, Zip Ties and Bias Plies, and a little bit of Junkyard Digs, not as much. I watch him more now than I used to, but definitely Vice Grip Garage and Zip Ties and Bias Plies, pretty much most out of the whole thing. I was watching Peg back when he had 50,000 subscribers. I don't know when that puts it at, but it was back when I was in middle school, and now I'm 25 out of school. So I've been watching it for a long, long time. So what that ends up doing is, if you grow up watching that stuff, it forms your personality. So there was a couple guys that were saying I have the same voice or something along those lines, same hand gestures, whatever. To a degree, I can see where they're getting at, because that's what I grew up watching. That was my influence, you know what I mean? So to answer your question, I guess I'm just Canadian. Yeah. At the end of the day, we all say A, we all like maple syrup, and we all ride moose, you know, live in igloos, all that stuff. No, Peg, I never had a problem watching one of his videos. I always like watching it. Willard Stunned, you know, all that good stuff. But He's watched a couple of our videos. If he had any issue with any of them, he would have said, because he's commented on a few too. So anyway, enough talking about pegs and zip ties. We already talked about YouTube. So another thing that I want to talk about is going forward, right? I'm 23% Canadian. Oh yeah. I don't know what percentage Irish I am, but there's a little bit in me somewhere, somehow. Either way, so we're on the east coast of Canada, right? So I don't know how big Canada is kilometer-wise. I would have to look it up. I think it's around 4,600 kilometers. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's somewhere around there. It's quite a lot. You see, most of the YouTubers that do the revive and drives or the drive and drags, I think there's one called Miles of Mayhem out west. Most of the YouTubers that I watch in the automotive field, they're all out west. Irish, Italian, Cherokee, and Canadian. Geez, that's a mix. Yes, sir. But you have zip ties and bias plies out there in Alberta. I think DD Speed Shop, I think he's either in Saskatchewan or Manitoba. The Boss Garage, thanks for looking it up. 5,500 kilometers. So I wasn't too far off, but either way, it's a bit, right? And the reason I'm bringing up distance is because, like, half of that is Ontario, a third of that number basically gets you to Ontario. That's where, like, the Boss Garage is from. Then you have Manitoba or Saskatchewan. I think that's where DD Speed Shop is. And then, like, Peg all the way out in Alberta. You never said you knew nothing about DD Speed Shop, 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 you know? Salt around here makes it hard to find any decent candidates for a build. Yeah, that's another thing. The reason I brought up the YouTubers out west is if there's any inclination that you guys thought there would be, like, collabs down the road, obviously at 10,000 subs, we're very small in the grand scheme of things, right? But sorry to say, there's not a lot of opportunity East Coast-wise that I know of as of yet. If I find any channels that we can collaborate around, like Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, a little bit in Quebec, that kind of stuff, then I'll likely reach out and we'll try to do something there. But until that day happens, collabs as a whole might not happen, at least until we get a little bit bigger and we can afford to fly out or drive out, that kind of stuff. Down the line, we have a plan with the International and likely a bowler trailer of some kind. And we plan on driving all the way out to BC with that fella and back. So on that trip, maybe we might have 30 or 40,000 subs by then. We'll reach out and we might try to, get to know some guys along the way. You guys might like that, because I think me and DD Speed Shop could have a long conversation, because basically using the best flux core welder I got and hammer and dollies to build that truck, he's literally cutting cars in half and making 4 doors into 2 doors. That's right up my alley. I could talk the ear off that guy. So, like, it would be nice to go out there and see. But, like, on the East Coast side, we have Bad Chad Customs, but that's about it as far as I know. DD Speed Shop, DD Speed Shop, DD Speed Shop. Looking forward to it. Yeah, me too. But, shoot, I just remembered someone asked a question here. Hold on. See the truck that he will do for start, Flintstone, big hole in the floor. Yeah. Salt, okay, yeah, Ricky said the salt around here makes it hard to find half-decent candidates for a build. That's another thing I wanted to bring up about Canada. Canada specifically, down in the States, down in the States, when you pass, like, the northern states and you go down a little bit to the western side, I think, as far as I'm aware, there's people still driving 60s and 70s trucks all the live long day. Basically, the motors die before the bodies ever rust out. Here on the East Coast, they literally calcium chloride and salt the roads to death. So vehicles here, they don't last. Actually, the best way I can describe it is our engines, if you were looking at statistics, our engines are likely in better shape than the ones out west for the age of vehicle, because the bodies over here on the East Coast rot out way before the bodies rot out on the other side. So out west, Alberta, that kind of stuff, the engines go, transmissions go way before the bodies go. But if you look on Kijiji, Marketplace, that kind of stuff, all the really nice cherry builds, so I'm talking 57 Ford, 50s Ford, 57 Chevy, all those like Hallmark old pickup trucks, that kind of stuff, the stuff that you really want to sink your teeth into, you can pick up one for like $1,700 out there running and driving. Or, you know, you can pick up one for $1,200. The body is all there, engine's all there, frame's all there. It might just be seized. That kind of stuff. Here, you're basically, the best way I can describe it is once you pass Ontario, you can add about $3,000, $4,000 to any vehicle from it out west. For example, like an OBS Ford four-door out there, 7.3, let's say 96, 97, you can pick up out west for about $6,000, $5,000 if it's like a mediocre one. Even if you want to go, like I'm talking good bodies and stuff, if you're going for like a rusty body and all that stuff, you can pick up a four-door for less than $2,000 with a 7.3. It's a nice deal. That being said, there is literally companies out here and fellas that make their living. I know a couple specific to my hometown. They drive out there, out west or down south, and they buy up old southern vehicles, 3 or 4 vehicles at a time, flatbed them all the way down here, and then they just slap an extra $5,000 on those vehicles down here, and they sell. So there's a 66 F100, I think. No, F350. 66. The body is almost immaculate. Again, engine seized, but the body is almost immaculate. Here, the fellow wants $12,000 Canadian for the exact same condition truck. I guarantee he likely bought it for $3,000 out west. So it makes you, it's a little infuriating. If I didn't have all my family here, I would likely be out west because it seems like it's more of the land of opportunity here in the States, or here in Canada, sorry. But it is what it is. You got to play the hand you got picked, or you got to play the hand you got at the end of the day. See if I can open up this chat again. Next time we do a live stream, I'm going to be doing it on the laptop. That way I can read the comments live and I don't have to scroll, because I guarantee you guys don't want to see my old greasy hand coming up there all the time. Oh, shoot. Come on now. My 2008 GMC Sierra had the frame rust to hell, even with undercoating. Yeah, you're not wrong. I specifically bet it was on that tubular cross member at the back, the one right before your trailer hitch, and the one in front. What part of Canada are you from? I am from Ontario. I was reading your question. I'm from New Brunswick, so Maritimes. That's what we were just talking about here. We were talking about location and where the YouTubers that I know that are around in the vehicles, all that stuff. But either way, East Coast Canada, that's where we're based. That's where all that stuff's going on. So down the line, like this summer, we're going to be doing a little bit of a road trip type video around Nova Scotia, specifically Cape Breton. So there's a couple fellas up there that I plan on meeting, and a couple of you guys that live up there. So what I'm getting at is when it comes to like meetups and stuff, again, like we're 10,000 subs isn't a lot, but I guarantee there's a few fellas in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick and stuff that watch the channel. We're going to keep it local to the East Coast, but when we do a drive like that, I'll try to post out locations that we might stop at for a little bit. Yeah, Ricky, it was you specifically that I was talking about. Tell you the honest truth, that you were down in Cape Breton. But that's where the big trip is that I'm going to be documenting. Hopefully it's going to be international power. And we're going to be doing, I think it's not the Appalachian Trail. What is it called? It's a scenic drive. I can't remember. I got the mind of a Dory, as I said, Finding Nemo kind of stuff. Oh yeah, it's a beautiful area. It really is. Prince Edward Island's nice, all that stuff. But yeah, for like meetups and stuff down the road for the channel, it's going to be local based. Cabot Trail. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to say, is the Cabot Trail. Yeah, I've never done it. I've never actually been that side of Nova Scotia yet. I've been all over the southern side and pretty much all over New Brunswick, all over Prince Edward Island, a little bit of Quebec, that kind of stuff, but fairly localized. So we're starting to branch out, and I'm hoping as we branch out, we can document it with the truck or the vehicle or whatever. That's another reason why I brought up reviving drives, is because down the line, it would be really cool to do, let's say, a summer, 3 or 4 reviving drives. We pick, because there won't be so much. You're from Nova Scotia, but no, I'm from New Brunswick. We're in the worser Nova Scotia. We don't have all the scenic stuff that you guys have. We have forests that Irvin's cutting down. But anyway, that's getting out of hand. We'll try to keep politics and stuff out of the first live stream on this channel anyway. But no, so like down the line, I kind of want to branch out a little bit. So when we do the bigger trips, what I was kind of thinking is we can do, let's say, a couple revivals throughout the year, and they're not going to be personal vehicles so much that I'm going to be keeping. I'm thinking maybe like a 3 video format almost. So revive, clean it, and a follow-up video. If you guys really like it, do a couple more. And then sell it off and move on to the next thing. That's the only way I can see reviving drives being feasible here for the first little bit. But I think it would be really cool. The first couple trip iterations are hopefully going to be international powered, as I said. But down the line, it would be really cool to use the best of the revive and drive vehicles for that year. And that would be the trip vehicle. And at the end, hurrah, there she goes. Let's see if I can catch up to the comments. So you've kind of zipped by me way too fast. Save it for the next live, yeah. Would you do zip ties and bias slide style revives and drives? Actually, yes. I never talked about the Mazda yet, but I'm going to get into that in a second. That's on my list to talk about on this one live. The 54 International, not far from where I live. It's been on the road. Hasn't been on the road. I'm trying to find it more info. There's one international that I know of in Nova Scotia right now. I'm kind of watching it because I got to buy glass for that thing. There's not a speck of glass in that's really any good. That's why when I've been building it, I haven't cared about sparks or chips or anything in the windshields. There's been a couple guys commenting, I shouldn't spray my sparks in them. I don't care about the glass on that. It's all ruined anyway. Someone rammed their head through the windshield maybe 80 years ago, back in the 80s on the International, and then all the glass is broken all the way through. So there was one, I think it was the full-size semi-truck version, they bobbed the back end of it off. It's green. I don't know what the model is yet. R290 or something along those lines, but it's the exact same cab as the International pickups. The transports were the exact same cab. It's just different fenders, different chrome, different power plants, frames, all that stuff. But the cabs were the same. It has all the glass. It even has some of the chrome that's going to be the same. So we might even go that route. I'm on a couple Facebook forums. We have a couple options out west to bring glass here, but it's going to be costly anyway. Let's see if I can catch up to the chat here. Hold on. How you make the best videos. Hey, I appreciate it. We're learning. We're definitely not we're definitely not professionals in this field. and I'm not very accustomed to talking to a camera, but we're learning it all over the place. Fun story. There's a couple videos on this channel about talking about cars at car shows. So I would walk around a car show, find the best picks that I like, kind of deal, and I would talk about the cars right there live. Those videos are terrifying because you're a guy talking to your phone or someone's filming you and you're surrounded by people, and you might even be talking about the truck and the owner might be watching you from a stump or from a bench sitting. You know, that kind of line. So we're getting more comfortable, but I just have to get more into the groove about it. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Mazda, and that's going to correlate that whole bit with your zip ties and bias plies type videos. I live in Canada. Yep. I live in Canada, New Brunswick, actually, Maritimes. I'm looking to buy my first vehicle. I'm looking to buy a square body or Chevy Apache. There's actually a couple Apaches down in Prince Edward Island right now if you're local. They're really, really nice. They're from Alberta. He's trying to liquidate them. I think they're like $3,000. All the engines are seized, but they look really nice. Yeah, no, there's a couple Apaches. There's a GMC equivalent down in Prince Edward Island right now. So anyway, the Mazda, the whole reason we bought it at the very beginning was the chassis for the International. Third gen Dodges, mega cab dualies, long beds. You're not wrong there. Those are sick trucks. Anyway, the Mazda, the whole reason we bought it was for the chassis, because we were going to basically make a nice little shop truck with the International at the beginning. Wouldn't have to widen anything. It would fit. Quarter-ton chassis. The original wheelbase, I think, on this was 115 inches, and the Mazda, the single cab long bed Mazda truck, was 116. So you play your cards right, you wouldn't have to modify a single thing at all. Either way, we bought that for that, but the Mazda turned out, I knew it was rotten right behind the cab. Obviously, you would see that as soon as I loaded up onto the trailer. But what I didn't know is the extent of the damage, and I didn't know it was a torsion front end, like a torsion beam front end, torsion bar, sorry. So the rust goes all the way past the transmission cross member, past the back of the cab, past the torsion bar cross member for about a foot. So it's literally like from the front cab mount back, the entire truck is rotten to the ground. That's why we used the 2003 F-150 that was sitting here. It was the backup plan at the end of the day. Cost efficient wise, because we were already into the Mazda for what it was. Either way, so now we're stuck with this Mazda, right? And I can either, the plan was either liquidate the truck, just get rid of it, or rip its engine and drivetrain out, save it for something, get rid of the rest. But what I'm kind of thinking on, and this is how I'm going to include it with for the Mazda Slap 100. You know, the truck runs and drives, right? So 150 pounds, 150 shot of NOS, actually in that little four-banger, it might not even blow it up. It seems to run very fine, healthy little engine. It actually runs and drives, it will move around and stuff, it's just that its frame's rotten. So getting into the zip ties and bias plies type revival questions, when he does his revivals, if you notice, he has a drop-down front trailer hitch. It's like an A-frame hitch. And he usually tows that behind the vehicle that he does the revive and drive on. That's pretty slick. I think he calls that the rice box, or the name forgets me. But it's that Isuzu Nissan Frontier, or the Nissan SUV type thing. Either way, I kind of want to do the same idea, if we do a lot of revive and drives, the same idea with that Mazda. Four-door OBS dually flatbed, you can get to. OBS dually flatbeds, 4 doors, those are hard to come by around here. The rickshaw, yes, exactly. Lane, Awesome. I appreciate it. No, the rickshaw, that's exactly what I was trying to say. But if you notice, he has the A-frame that comes down, right? So the Mazda, I have a whole bunch of doors from when we did the barn in here. It used to be an old stable barn, right? So there's a whole bunch of, I think they're 1/8 C-channel, and it's not like a normal C-channel beam. It's a bent C-channel, so there's no thick corners on it, right? We have a whole bunch of those and a whole bunch of wood. I think I have 12 or 14, and they're big. They're in 14-foot sections, 6 feet wide each with wood and all that stuff. So I can make a flatbed for the Mazda for free. No problem there. What I'm likely going to do, the plan is, find like an S10 frame or a small truck frame of some kind, put the running gear and the Mazda cab, because the cab's actually half decent for what it is. The whole truck's there. It's pretty nice. Runs and drives, again, moves around. Put that on that little frame, make the flatbed for it. I have the A-frame front for it. I've been collecting parts for this build for a little bit. And that will have the Higho Stable Garage logo on the door. We'll paint it on both doors, basically paint the truck white. It's not going to be a burnout machine because it won't have the power. The little 4-cylinder it's a 4-cylinder 5-speed. It might be able to do a 1-wheel peel, but that's about it. Just something with a good MPG. The little truck will haul, put a little tiny, one of those little Princess Auto cranes. That's like a, Princess Auto is our version of Harbor Freight. So one of those cheap little cranes that you can move in and out, put a little vise on it and stuff, little toolbox. And that truck will be, we will drive it because I'll be doing these revive and drives likely solo. It was nice I had my brother with me on the last couple, but that's not going to be a constant thing, right? So we will drive this truck to the revive and drive type vehicle, get it going. We'll have the tools there that we need because we're not as skilled yet as like Vice Grip Garage and zip ties and all that stuff. So doing it out of just a bag off an airplane, like doing something from Ontario down, that's like the equivalent, I think, of 600 miles one way. We're not at that stage quite yet. So we'll have to take our tools and spare parts and stuff with us, do the revive and drive, but then hook said vehicle, so the little Mazda, up to the vehicle we want to revive and drive back, and then basically tow it behind us. So yes, the plan with the Mazda is kind of do it the same way that Zip Ties and Bias Plies, Peg has been doing it for a while. So that's the idea with the Mazda going forward. We're likely actually going to start working on that maybe around, it won't be April because that's when we're going to start doing a little bit of content, hopefully with the International Outside. But maybe around June, somewhere around there. Because again, once we swap the frame and stuff, we can work at it. Because the blue truck, my 6.9 diesel, and my grandfather's truck, I'll get into that in a second on the plans on those two trucks right there. But they will be off the road together for a little bit. Let me just jump back up to the chat here. Hold on. 100 shot, 16 horsepower Briggs and Stratton engine. Sounded like Maraca for 5 seconds. I bet it did. We have a couple Briggs and Strattons here. Actually, an old Ford lawnmower. Could do that to that. Come on, I wish the chat would stay open. We're definitely doing this on a computer next time. 200 shot of nitrous. Yep, that would do it too. Saw an S10 for sale here in Ontario that's been 4-speed with a blower. There's actually an S10 here, small block Chevy, and a 5-speed too. It's actually only for $4,000. Supposedly, the buyer or the seller is saying it makes upwards of 345 wheel horsepower. He said he got it dynoed. You can take that with a grain of salt. I like 6-speed vehicles. Never owned one. The ZF6 is a 6-speed, came in the later Power Strokes. Making it more Canadian, I could give you a moose horns to bolt on the hood. Yep, just like bull horns. We'll put two big antlers on the front. Maybe even with the skull connector piece in the middle. Would look pretty sick. Put that right on the Mazda. But yeah, so that's the plan with the Mazda. And if we do a lot of revive and drives, that type of truck will prove quite crucial. Now, unless there's any other thing that you guys want to talk about, I'm going to talk about the last thing, and that's the plan going forward on the blue diesel and my grandfather's truck. So I never did a follow-up video quite yet, and I want to explain just a little bit of the revive and drive video that we did on that truck. So my grandfather's truck, obviously I'm not going to get rid of it because it has a lot of sentimental value to it. When I was about yay high, I'm sitting down by the way. When I was about yay high, 3 feet off the ground, I was loading wood in that truck and we were going down to Fredericton and selling it off, or we were hopping in as Peterbilt and doing actual loads down to Sussex, that kind of stuff. Just having a cheery old time, but that old truck was always around. And I remember he used to have to lift the bed because it used to have an electric drive dump on it. Excuse me. It used to have an electric drive dump on it, and he used to have to jump the solenoid from underneath the truck on the frame. It was right behind the cab for the dump body. It now has a PTO drive dump bed on it. Either way, that's getting ahead of myself, but on the revive and drive video, there's a segment in the video, I didn't dive very far into it, but I said we had to do a little bit of rust repair off camera. So to dive a little bit more into that, it's kind of like the Mazda, unfortunately. The F350s on the East Coast, for that cab and chassis generation, they have a double-walled frame right behind the cab. Basically, it's to add strength, right? It's a 250 style frame, thickness-wise, but then it's a double wall right behind the cab to, I think, about the front leaf perch on the rear leaf springs. That whole entire thing is rotten out completely. The transmission crossmember was rotten out completely, and by rotten out completely, I mean there wasn't a lot holding it on. The hanger bearing was rotten completely. When we drove it back from Fredericton, our rust repair was a chain across the entire frame, looped on both with a gigantic chain binder. In case the transmission crossmember failed, the chain would hold up the transmission. The hanger bearing was about 30 loops of mechanics wire. Just JB weld it back on. You don't need it. You don't need a weld. The frame, unfortunately, on that truck is unsavable. It is so rotten. It's crazy. Basically, from the front radius arms back, I would say to a back about a cab and a half back from the rear back plate of the rear cab mount. So what is that? 3 feet? 3 feet on the back of the cabin chassis from the rear of the cab is rotten. So you could say you could cut it, combine the front and the back, and make like a shorty or something out of that frame. It is still very thin, and it has two baseball-sized holes in the middle of the webbing on the frame at the back going out to the lights. It's in really bad shape, right? It was just an old wood truck, had one job, that was it, and he basically drove the wheels off of it. So, in my opinion, the frame on that, I could restore the frame, like plate it wise, but in actuality, it needs a new frame, right? Now, as for my blue truck, the MVI, here in New Brunswick, we have MVIs every year, right? They need motor vehicle safeties, that kind of stuff. They brought it up to 2 years, right? So, my blue truck, obviously, it has a nice patina finish on it. It's just basically an old wood truck or an old work truck. I use it for scrap runs, wood, that kind of stuff. The idea is, right, I almost want to take that truck because I have way more nostalgia for my grandfather's truck than my blue truck. Even though I picked that one up. It wasn't a revive and drive, and it predated the channel by a year and a half. But when I picked that truck up, it was sitting out in St. Adams. Fella died. It was an estate sale. I picked that up for pennies on the dollar for what it was worth, but the whole cab, the transmission tunnel was the only thing holding it together. That's why the doors are all kind of screwed up, because we had to make rockers, floorboards, everything off no reference. The doors don't really line up very well. And the cab was gutted when we had it, spray foam, all that stuff. So the truck's kind of a disaster, and I've been patching it up every year I've had it just to pass the MVI, right? But the frame and everything, I took that cab off and repaired the rear cross members, painted the frame, all that stuff, other than the front 3 feet, I think. But it has new wheel bearings, new brakes, new hanger bearing. I think it even has a new drive shaft. It has a lot of new parts on the engine. It has a leveling kit, a reverse shackle kit. It has a lot of stuff going on the truck. And the bed's not in the bad, worse of shape. I changed all the crosses out with 1/8-inch steel this last year. So like, there's a lot of work done to that truck. But nostalgia-wise, there's not as much nostalgia that I have with my own Ford than my grandfather's Ford, right? So I think I kind of want to save one out of the two. So my current plan, right? The MVI is done in October. My current plan is to take the body off my diesel, take the cab off my grandfather's truck and put that on the frame of my diesel, shorten the frame because it's an extended cab frame, shorten the frame to single cab long bed spec, put my box from my diesel on the back of my grandfather's cab. So now we have a single rear wheel long bed single cab pickup. They're both blue, by the way. It's still going to be manual 4-wheel drive diesel. We have the power plant from mine, but it's the cab, the fully furnished cab, all the stuff that made my grandfather's truck nice is there. All the nostalgia items is in that cab, so I get to drive with my grandfather every day. You can kind of look at it that way. But we take the rear dually axle from the frame on my grandfather's truck, change that out for the rear for the single 10 1/4 rear that's on my truck right now, or change the hubs at least. And then dually fenders for 1980 to 86, the rear fenders, they're kind of like unobtainium here. You can get the 90s ones or the late 80s ones that are rounded wheel well, but the hexagon wheel well, they're really hard to find. But after all the fabrication we did on this truck, and it won't be the same styling, right? So we're in this scenario, I think I'm going to build the rear dually fenders out of steel, because normally they come fiberglass. Oh, jeez, excuse me, been talking a lot. Normally they come fiberglass. I kind of want to bend up some steel ones, weld those together. We'll grind the welds really nice, and we'll try to make the same indentations and everything that the fiberglass ones have. Like you're thinking I'm building one sweet truck out of the two. Yeah. So I'm with you on that 100%. So basically, at the end of the day, we'll have a single cab, long bed dually truck, right? But I think I'm going to get another batch of 36 by 9-inch military tires, and it will be a dually, so 6 wheels on the ground, military tires, the skinny military tires, all the way around, and it's a lifted 4-wheel drive manual diesel truck. Yeah. My plan with that won't be a full restoration, because we will tow with it and stuff, we'll use it as a truck. But do the body work on the box that I need to do the body work on my grandfather's truck that we need to do, paint it blue, and then he used to have a symbol, right? Because we have the Higho Stable Garage symbol, the horse flag, right? Well, when he ran trucking, or when he ran his shop, on all of his service trucks and his transport trucks, he had, you would have your pinstripe that would go down the body line. He would have, what's the best way to describe it? I wonder if I have a pen in here. Hold on. Okay, hold on. hang out for a second. It'll be worth it, I swear. You'll get to see my art skills at the same time. So, let me do this. I feel like I botched it, but it's all right. You guys are going to see it in a second. All right, so nostalgia-wise, again, he had this on every single truck that he drove. So whether it was the service trucks, his transport trucks, shop trucks, all that stuff. He had this symbol. It was his symbol. He made it. Again, there's an actual, it looks a lot better than this, but this is just an idea. That's what it was. It was the heart with wings. That was his little symbol. So the plan is, right, the color scheme on my grandfather's truck is the same blue, actually. It's the same color code as my blue diesel. And it has like a red oxide-ish type wheel on it for the dually rims. It matches quite nice. It has a red interior. I plan on keeping that exact same color scheme, and the pinstripe that will go down, the red pinstripe, at the very tail section, about maybe this big, we'll do a little hand painting with that, and it will bleed in to the pinstripe. Kind of commemorative type deal, because I'm not going to put like a plaque or anything like that, but just a little bit that from the outside looking in, you'll be able to tell that it was my grandfather's truck. I think that's really cool, but down the line, like it helps clean up the yard a little bit. And if I don't do something like that to my grandfather's truck, it will never see the road again, guaranteed, for how bad a shape it actually is. The 300 i6 in it runs tickety-boo. There's no problem there. The 4-speed, no problem there. It blew hot air all the way home. No problem there. All that stuff works fine, but the actual bones of it is completely shot. So we'll do 2 or 3 videos with the cabin chassis as it is, but likely when October runs around and the MVI is done on my blue diesel, both will come in and only one will come out, if you know what I mean. So that's why we're planning on getting the Mazda done before winter, because most likely that will be the hot rod of the wintertime, you know, that kind of stuff. Let me jump down and read the comments real quick, just make sure I didn't miss anything. There we go. Yeah, as for like hand pinstriping, it won't be that type of build. I like it nice. Yeah, very subtle tribute to basically my grandfather at the end of the day. Just kind of like a conversation piece, like, oh, why'd you put that there? I can explain this is why this truck was built. This is how it is. It's a piece of my personality, but the nostalgia from his truck put in, and it's the best of both worlds. Because either way, I'm going to have to eventually just change out the cab on my diesel for me to be happy with it, because it's just a whole bunch of patches over patches basically on the cab work. Or I do something like this, bring down the workload, but then we have something really nice at the end of the day that I can do a really nice paint job, really nice body work, that kind of stuff. It might be in the shop for a whole year, that kind of deal. So we'll make sure the F-150 is all set and square. The International is tons of fun. We'll make sure that's all done. And the Mazda is all done before we pulled the trigger on that. But again, that's down in October. So it's just a little bit under a year that we still have the diesel out and about. It's not going anywhere. It's still basically the main vehicle. That's funny, actually. A lot of guys were saying that I don't drive the diesel because a lot of the times the diesel is only showcased on the cold starts in the morning, right? For the day, or if I'm in college, I'll do that. And then I have the occasional video on it. But they say there wasn't enough content for me to actually be driving that truck every day. It's the daily driver. It's been the daily driver for a long time, ever since I sold the Explorer. And I'm not going to dive into the Explorer, but if you want to see a video on it, there is one on the channel. It goes over it before I sold it type deal. Either way, ever since the Explorer sold, that has been the year-long daily is my old diesel truck. So yeah, no, that's the. I just wanted to tell you guys some ideas that were rambling around my head. Plus, it lets us figure out this live stuff because I plan on doing another live stream likely around when we hit 10,000 subs. And don't worry, you won't miss that one because I'll put out like a bulletin a couple days before, just estimated time on when I'll do it. And it'll be a time when most people are off work and that kind of stuff, so they can say in, stop in and say hello, that kind of stuff. This one was just whoever was here, yeah, they could watch it. Yeah, DDSP Shop, DDSP Shop, DDSP Shop, DDSP Shop, DDSP Shop. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate all the feedback that you guys have given me tonight, especially on like the reviving drives and that kind of stuff. And just mainly so then you can get to know me a little bit better, because I know sometimes it's hard to put a face behind the camera. And at the end of the day, I'm just a fella building some stuff in an old barn. So, you know, just I try not to get too wrapped up in like, I'm never going to really try to bring in like politics or anything into this YouTube channel. Just a nice spot to kind of watch, relax, have a good time. That logo on a hat or a t-shirt. Hold on. But I love to see videos. I love to work with you. Sounds the truck will sound nice. Straight pipe on it. I'll actually be a little happy. Can't wait to have my... Yeah, the 85 F250. If it's the one in your profile picture that you described in the last couple of comments, Ricky, it looks really nice. So if it's that one that you're talking about, looks awesome. How you doing? Doing great. I'm doing fantastic. No, it's a good time. We're basically just wrapping up this live stream, but basically summarize, we went over a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to be doing in the channel down the road. Couple things just over the channel, couple build ideas, and kind of a general schedule timeline of builds going forward. That's basically what you missed here talking about it. I'll put the whole live stream back up on the YouTube channel in case you want to rewatch it and stuff. When's next live? Likely won't be for a while because I want to get a little bit more set up. This one was just testing. I just finished a video. I still have to edit it and stuff, but I just finished the video, so I'm just going off my phone. I'll likely go off the computer and it'll be at a nicer location, or maybe here, I'm not sure. But either way, we'll be more prepared for the next one, but likely somewhere around 10,000 subs. Now, who asked for t-shirts and stuff? I wasn't going to talk about it until 10,000 subs, but there is stuff in progress, but I guess if you really want to know about it, I'll go over it. Who asked the question, though? Just hold on. Oh, Unis. Okay. So, as for t-shirts and stuff, I'll get into it more, but we're not going to have anything merchandise-wise until after 10,000 subs. It's just a decision I made. Give us a shop tour. It's just about to close the live. I'll show you guys a shop tour real quick, but just to end my note, end that thought on the merchandise. After 10,000 subs, we'll bring. I'll include it in that live stream. I'll go over basically how we're going to be rolling it out and stuff. But the general idea is you won't see anything until 10,000 subs, and it'll likely only be maybe 2 t-shirt options at the very beginning. Basic Higho Stable Garage logo, and then maybe a showcase limited production run or something like that on one of the builds. Most likely in the International at the end of the day. You know how it is. All right, so shop tour. I'll give you guys a quick shop tour, and then we're going to close it up. But let me see if I can figure this out here. Hold on. I don't know if it's going to close the live or not, me walking around. And I don't know how to flip the camera. Oh, there we go. All right, so little sneak peek on the video coming up tomorrow. Can I zoom out on this? No, I can't. No, I can't. Okay. But let me bring it over here. Little update. You'll see this in the next video, but basically on the wide body kit, I think it looks a lot better now that we added these 2 little snorkels here. See, there's a hole in there. Got one there. Got one there. It's to cool the brakes, because I brought it up in the last video that we might be doing like vents at the back. I'm going to round this off here and then vent out the complete back off that. So if you've ever seen, I think they're called louvers. They stamp those in the sheet metal. That's how we're going to do it on the back fender on this. It's going to be basically the main fender bowed out and then louvered out. So the idea is when you're racing, playing around with the truck hard, it's sucking in cold air. We'll have a little flexible pipe going over off the frame to here, and then it will come out the louver. If I really like the design, we're going to basically mimic that funnel piece here, and then the louvers here too. So that's what we're going to be, the idea of it is. Now, as for as for turbos, we won't be putting, these won't be used for air induction, because when the hood flips up, these guys will move. So we would have to have an extendable and flexible charge pipe. I don't think they make one of those. Either way. So that's the International. That's how that stuff's going on. We put the doors on it real quick, just so we would be able to see what the whole truck looks like with them. Kind of go over here real quick. Yeah. Just so we can kind of see what it looks like. The running board's really going to seal the deal on it. But you guys already know a lot about the International. We have the RX-7. Some stuff. Basically, this is an off-camera project for what it is. You can tell the humidity's in the shop. Look at that. Whew. Yep. Again, that's what happens when you go from -20 one day to +10 the next day. The humidity in the shop is nuts. Look at the F-150 glass. Crazy. But what we're doing on this is we have this all wrapped up here. We wrapped the headers on the 302 HO. And I think there's something to do with, yeah, we're doing some rear brake calipers and a brake kit on the back end. That's about it. But it's just, it's kind of like, I don't usually have a lot of extra time when I'm not filming or working on the stuff for the channel. So that's just kind of brushed off to the side. As for the F-150, we have to put a drive shaft in it because we blew the last one out doing burnouts in the Tim Hortons parking lot. So that's awesome. But 460 big block, 4-speed, long bed, short bed conversion, all that stuff. He needs the drive shaft, and that's about it. But down the road, we have this Crown Vic front end that I poached off a Crown Vic a while back. It was supposed to get it a couple years ago, or about a year and a half ago. But then we ended up doing the International, and we had other couple projects. So it's like everything else, gets put to the back burner, and I'm not going to cut up this truck until I have another toy for the summer, because I did that one year where I cut up one truck and I cut up a car, and then I didn't have anything fun for the entire summer to play around in. Not going to do that again. So this guy, he currently just needs a drive shaft. That's about it. We'll go over here. Let me just double check the chat here. If I'm not moving, I'm just reading. So just give me a second here. Tilt my phone. Orientation is locked. Rotate device back. It won't do it. No, it won't do it. It won't rotate the phone. I think I would have to close the live and then have it rotated the other way. I don't know. Okay, hold on. Let me read these comments real quick. So, square body in the barn. Hoping to put out a couple. Yeah, Ricky, if you put out a couple videos, I'll definitely watch them. I like all the OBS content, and your truck's looking pretty slick, so I'll definitely be one of the viewers. You can count on that. Yeah, if I can... The merch down the line, again, 10,000 subs, we'll do something around then. I'll have way more details on it, but right now the details are just a little bit fuzzy, but we are working on it. Thanks, Thomas. I appreciate... I've been talking so much, my tongue's flapping all over the place, and I can't control it. So, no, I appreciate it, Thomas. I appreciate the positivity that you're giving. it's coming along. All the projects there, it seems like it's a majority trucks. That's usually what I work on. It's what I'm comfortable with. But we got the occasional race type car poking around. Got some other stuff on a different property too. I love everything about the channel. Start watching National the last week. Awesome. I'm glad you like it. It's definitely come a long way since the very beginning. I can tell you that much for sure. Okay. All right. So now that we're all caught up. So, square body in the barn. What's going on with the square body? What's going on with the square body? The square body's been in here forever. If you guys haven't noticed, it's been in here basically since the very beginning of the channel. Just kind of hanging out. What's going on with the square body? Let's talk about it real quick. You guys will get the inside scoop, okay? So, it's a 1984 square body Chevrolet. It has Silverado badges all over it. It's my dad's truck, right? It's one of those projects that we brought in. We were both going to work on it, but we both busy, right? Busy on that, everything. And it doesn't really need a whole bunch. It needs some hydraulic lines done for the master brake booster. It's a hydraulic brake booster on this. Yeah, it's a hydraulic assisted brake booster off your power steering pump. It needs a couple lines there, brake lines, that kind of stuff. General maintenance, but it needs its body lift taken out because it had, at one point it was like, I don't know, 12, 14 inches of lift on this. It was an ex-mud truck, basically. So it really was drove hard. It's on blocks, like those lift blocks, front and rear, and then a huge body lift. So like it needs enough work that it just keeps getting postponed, but it's not a lot of work that likely 2 months could patch it up. Maybe this summer we'll be diving into it, but it's a 350 Chevy, 4-bolt main. I think it's a 4-speed, what's the name of it? 435. It's a new process, 4-speed. And then NP205 on the back for the transfer case. It's the gear-to-gear. Again, it was a mud truck, so wild. And then straight axle, Dana 44 on the front. And then straight axle, I believe it's a 10-inch. I'm not as accustomed with the Chevys as I am with the Fords, but I believe it's a 10-bolt Chevy. I think it's a 10-bolt Chevy. I think. I would have to count the bolts technically, I guess. 87 F-150. We did half the video on it, and we were waiting for the spark plug to come out. But then, oh geez, that light is going nuts. Let me shut that off. Ay. Princess Auto, gotta love them. But there was one of these, see this little guy? Come on now. Is that gonna focus? How do I focus this? I don't think I can. What if I do that? Either way, that's an extractor. It's one of these. And as you can see, one of them's not like the other. It went snap inside the head. That was great. So we've been busy extracting that. We recently just got it out. So it just needs to be reassembled basically, and then out the door it goes. That's that Ford lawnmower. I have a short video on it. Just a short video. That's it. And either way, it just kind of putts around all that stuff. Lots of parts just kind of strewn around. At one point, I had 6 or 7 OBS Fords in here just blown all apart. And that's how I got all the parts for that truck, my blue truck. And then I sold 2 trucks and then scrapped a whole bunch. So I got rid of a lot of stuff. But that's kind of the name of the game. When you buy and when you make trucks and you work on old stuff, you got to have the extra parts. Don't just scrap everything. Keep a few things around. All right, I saw one more comment. Hold on. Friend looking to find a work truck van to start plumbing business and... Oh, geez, excuse me. What is something affordable and reliable in my experience? Stay away from a 543 valve. That would be like an 08, 09 Econoline van. Don't buy that. Don't buy that at all. Tell you honest truth, for a plumbing company, those Dodge Grand Caravans, and I'm not talking about the work utility van, just the Dodge Grand Caravans, you can buy those guys up for pennies on the dollar for what they are, because once the family is done with it, they sell them off. They're just as rugged as a utility van usually, unless you're putting pallets in the back and you need that heavy duty truck frame underneath. If you're just hauling around plumbing tools and stuff like that, take the back seats out of it. It has a nice little V6 or a 4-cylinder up front, so better fuel mileage than the big white panel box trucks. And you can get them pennies on the dollar. Like $8,000 you would be paying way too much for it, and I think you get even like a 2013 or a 2014 model for that. If you want to go box truck, nothing wrong with as long as you don't go with a 5.43 valve, there's problems with the oil and issues. You can get high mileage ones, and some people have great luck with them, but it's just because you had great luck with them doesn't mean they're not garbage engines at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Older stuff, I like to gravitate towards older stuff, but if you're running a company and that's how you're paying your bills, sometimes it's nice just to be able to drop it off at the dealership and bring in your rental, especially if you have employees that are dependent on you. Old stuff, it's always going to break, but at least you know how to fix it. The other ones you might not care about the dependability and stuff. You just need the new reliability for that 75, 100,000 miles, basically. Buy a minivan or a retired hearse. We used to have a 66 Town and Country that was used as a hearse and as an ambulance. It was an ambulance when we sold it. Yeah, no. So that's what I would do in your case. Get like an older style minivan and work with that. Or basically just anything, stay away from a 5.43 valve, okay? So that's like your 2008, 2009 E-Series Econoline vans. Don't buy that. Don't buy that at all. But no, I got to start working on this new video because it has to come out tomorrow for you guys. I think it's around noon. Yeah, I think they come out around noon. But either way, I got to start editing that. But I appreciate everyone that stopped by on this beginning live stream. And again, when we do another one, I'll be sure to tell a lot more people. Let me rephrase. I'll be sure to tell everyone in advance because this was just spur of the moment. Just kind of wanted to check things out and try it out. So I'll catch you guys later. I appreciate it as always, and I'll see you guys in the comments from here on in. All right, see ya.